Long live rock. It's the motto for an entire genre of music, as well as the Hall of Fame dedicated to that genre. Now, when we want to recognize musicians, lyricists, even disc jockeys for their achievements in the field of rock and roll, we induct them into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, according to the Hall of Fame's inductee list, there are over 400 artists that have been inducted, dating all the way back from the inaugural induction in 1986. Some members have the benefit of being inducted more than once. All four Beatles have been inducted with the Beatles, as well as for their own solo careers. Sometimes artists just simply get left out of the induction or don't even make it to the ballot. Now, I was here back in 2019 with my wife, Christina, and there was a fun little interactive screen that patrons could choose who they think should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. As you can see, we picked Weird Al Yankovic. I know what you're thinking. Weird Al Yankovic? Now, some of you might not be familiar with who Weird Al is, might be too young. Some of you might be only slightly familiar with him. Some of you might know who he is and not like his music. Well, today I'm going to argue the case why Weird Al Yankovic belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, Weird Al Yankovic is mainly a parody artist. What does that mean? It means he takes already popular songs and puts a fun twist on them to make them comedic. Michael Jackson's Beat It becomes Eat It. My Sharona becomes My Bologna. It's hilarious. It's fantastic. But you also have to think of his cultural impact. Now, Weird Al has the talent to tap into what makes a musical or cultural moment important. And he does this in his song Eat It. It's a great encapsulation of that 80s sound. Even better is Smells Like Nirvana, which is a perfect encapsulation of what makes 90s grunge. The song is literally about how you can't understand grunge artists and what they're saying. It's fantastic. He has almost unmatched longevity in his career. He's been in the music business for over 40 years, and he always remains relevant. He's not always in your face. He fades away just long enough, and then he comes back, and then you're like, oh, it's Weird Al. He's back with a new album. And he remains relevant because he parodies whatever's popular at the time. So 80s new wave is popular in the 80s. That's what he goes in parodies. Alternative rock, rap. And he has consistency. His voice is always consistently excellent. And you can't say that for a lot of artists that are still performing. The Rolling Stones, they're in the Hall of Fame. They're great, but they look like and sound like walking corpses. Let's be honest. Same thing goes for Brian Johnson, the lead singer of AC/DC. He's great, but his voice is just not the same as it was 40 years ago, and that's not even up for debate. Weird Al, I saw him back in 2022. He sounded just as great as he did on his albums from the 90s. He's innovative and he's original. Now, you might think Weird Al is just funny parody artist, but he also has his own original songs that he writes, and these are just as good, if not better, than his parodies. He has Dare to Be Stupid, which is a nice send-off of the Devo new wave sound. He has Dog Eat Dog, which is like a Talking Heads style song, and he has Velvet Elvis, which is like the Police. It's their kind of sound. And the Talking Heads and the Police are both in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's always quirky and clever with his music. He's just as quirky and clever as he was 40 years ago. He understands the multimedia nature of music with his music videos and his songs. And he has influence on other parody artists. And he's like an elder statesman of comedy to the alternative comedic movement that swept the 2000s. And his style of comedy is smart, it's clever, and it's a little bit nerdy, which keeps him popular across generations of fans. His musical talent is undeniable, not just as a songwriter, but as an actual musician. Weird Al plays the accordion, and I haven't tried it, but I know the accordion is not an easy instrument to master. But he has this specific niche in music history where he's probably the best, most foremost accordion playing musician out there today. And his parodies are very respectful. A lot of these artists, he has to get the green light from them to parody their songs. and they let him do it. Nirvana let him do it. Madonna, Lady Gaga, they all respect him enough to allow him to parody their music. And he does across a lot of genres too. He does rock and roll, he does new wave, he does rap, he does alternative rock, he does country, he does polka. I mean, he pushes the boundaries of music and he's able to shape the modern musical landscape with it. Now, if you think Weird Al is a weird induction, there are some other odd inductions who I personally don't think should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but you can make the argument they should be in as well. But just to put it into perspective, Missy Elliott was elected to the Hall of Fame in 2023, and this kind of had people thinking maybe they should rename the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to the Music Hall of Fame. But Missy Elliott, according to her, she gives a good reason as to why she should be inducted. Back in the 50s, rock and roll wasn't really a genre yet. It wasn't as heavily defined. It was just a mixture of sounds. It was a gumbo, as she calls it. And what is Weird Al but a musical gumbo of different styles? Dolly Parton was inducted in 2022, and she had reservations about being inducted, feeling she didn't do enough to the genre of rock and roll as she was a country artist. According to her, she was a country artist and probably shouldn't be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So the definition of why you should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is kind of up for debate. There's a little leeway for it. And there's many famous snubs. Um, Iron Maiden isn't in, but Def Leppard and Metallica are both in. Even more egregious, Chubby Checker is not in the Hall of Fame. Chubby Checker, the guy who invented the twist, he is nowhere to be seen in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Oh, but Green Day is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but not the guy who is synonymous with carefree teenagers in the 60s and a whole cultural movement pertaining to rock and roll. It honestly makes no sense with the voting. It kind of forces us to rethink what rock and roll actually is. Now, John Sykes, the chairman of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, according to him, he thinks Weird Al Yankovic is a musical genius, but he's never even sniffed the ballot. He's never even been anywhere close. He thinks of him more as an entertainer. What is the point of music if not to entertain? There are so many inductees that are just merely entertainers. Jay-Z's been inducted. I feel like he's more of an entertainer than anything. Well, according to the inductees on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, their list, there's a category for musical excellence. If you can't get Weird Al in as a musician, he should at least be inducted in the field of musical excellence. He combines music and comedy perfectly the way no one else has. It's amazing how talented he is, and he's able to make these songs. One of my personal favorites is Trapped in the Drive-Thru. It's like a 10-minute long song, and I think it's one of his best, most well thought out pieces of work. You should listen to it. He may not be a stereotypical rock star, but his place in music history is undeniable.